Hi, I'm Lilly Riddle with the Daily Upside, and I'm here at Future Proof in beautiful Huntington Beach, California. And here I have Bryce Skaff, co-head of the Global Client Group at Dimensional Fund Advisors. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Yeah, and let's get right into it. So I guess, Dimensional has roughly 200 billion. You recently hit 200 billion in ETF assets. Is that
In
right?
active ETFs in the US.
Yes. And obviously one of the first in line for dual share classes once that gets approved. So what's next for your company? What are you most excited about right now?
Well, I think you've hit on a really key issue for us, which is the active ETF space. We know the ETF rule came in September of 2019. Dimensional sprinted very quickly toward launch because what we heard from the community of advisors that works with Dimensional is they would love an ETF wrapper from Dimensional that allows us to do what we've been doing in mutual funds for them for years. And so that opened up the doors for us. And so we sprinted very quickly. So it's in some ways not surprising that we quickly became the largest active ETF manager in the US. So that is it continues to be a big focus for us. You highlighted the pursuit of the exemptive relief to offer dual share classes, ETF share classes of our mutual fund. That is a very important topic for us. Dimensional is trying to give optionality to investors and advisors. We want to make this wrapper agnostic. If advisors prefer a mutual fund, they should be able to buy a mutual fund and consume our intellectual property. If they want to buy an ETF and consume the same thing at a similar price for a similar solution, they should be able to do that. Same thing with SMAs and UMAs. So we're trying to really democratize access to that IP.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you see as like the biggest maybe opportunity for advisors right now? Something they're not taking advantage of or something that you think everyone should be doing that they're not right now?
Yeah, well, I think two things. One thing I will say is on the investment side, and the other thing I would say is on the practice side. On the investment side, I think advisors really do need to understand an opportunity for them to understand they can do better than indexing. There are ways to have a diversified, low-cost portfolio that allow you to do better than indexing, that give your clients a better shot at a more productive retirement, that give them more money to pay for their kids' college tuition, pay for healthcare. So we're really out there trying to talk about how you can do better than indexing by eliminating the constraints of indexing, having a more flexible approach like Dimensional. So that is one topic that they ought to be focused on to enhance their business and their value proposition for their clients. The other one is, and I firmly believe that advisors ought to be taking a very strong look and ask themselves the question whether or not the ways they grow organically in the next 10 years are the same ways and mechanisms they used in the last 10 years to grow. I suspect that it's going to be different.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched on organic growth, but what is one maybe trend, policy change, phenomenon that you're paying the most attention to as we head into the fourth quarter of 2025 and into 2026?
Yeah, I think on policy side, I think exemptive relief of the ETF share class is definitely a big one. I think advisors ought to be getting set up for what that means for their business. As you know, we're number one in line. It's been very well publicized. The press has been quite kind to us, referring to us in a leadership position in pursuit of that exemptive relief. Should that come, advisors ought to be ask themselves, how will they set up portfolios? What does that mean for their business? So I think that's very important. In terms of fourth quarter, it's tax season, right? So we're coming up on the end of the year. That's where a lot of the tax trades happen. So I think competition has really forced advisors to demonstrate value. One of the ways to demonstrate value in the advice business might just be tax management, because as you and I both know, for advisors, it's kind of an opaque value, right? You pay a fee to an advisor, and there's no quantified value that you get. You get market returns, you get some planning, but there's no, here's what you get for this fee in a quantifiable way. Taxes might be one of the areas that they can actually articulate a value proposition if they're focused on using the right tax managed vehicles, if inside their wealth management infrastructure, they're doing proper tax management. So I think you're going to see a lot of that, not just through the fourth quarter, but I think taxes, it ought to be a very, very important part of the toolkit for advisors going forward.
Yeah, certainly. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate it, and hope you have a great rest of your conference.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.